Is Ice Cube East or West Coast? West Coast, baby. I am the West Coast warlord. Well, I'm related to a few people. There's a rapper by the name of Dell, the funky homo sapien. If you didn't know that was my Lil Cuttin, that's my Lil.
I'm the West Coast warlord. Imagine walking away from one of the biggest rap groups in history at the peak of their fame. That's exactly what Ice Cube did when he ditched N.W.A. and kicked off a nasty feud with Eazy-E and their manager Jerry Heller. The drama between these once close friends turned ugly, but here's the real question. Why were the other N.W.A. members so nervous about Ice Cube's past? Let's rewind to where it all started, with the CIA rumors in his early work with Dr. Dre. Ice Cube, real name O'Shea Jackson, was born on June 15th, 1969, to Doris and Hosea Jackson.
The street knowledge concept in my head already, because the N.W.A. record starts off, you're now about to witness the strength of street knowledge. So I had that concept in my head of trying to match the streets with the political.
His mom, Doris, worked as a hotel clerk and custodian, and his dad, Hosea, was a machinist and also a groundskeeper at UCLA, a hardworking family just trying to keep things together. He grew up with his older brother and a half-sister, and way before the world saw him as a legendary rapper, he was already sharpening his bars in school. No joke, his very first rap battle went down during typewriting class. A student who thought he had bars challenged Cube, and boom, Ice Cube came out on top.
It's kind of weird to be associated with Glenn Miller.
Now, how did he get that iconic name? During a heated fight, his big brother told him, "I'm gonna shove you in the freezer and pull you out when you're an ice cube." The name stuck, and so did his cold attitude in the game. Even though he grew up in a tough part of South Central LA, his parents tried to steer him away from trouble. They made sure he took the bus to school in the nicer San Fernando Valley. He ended up at George Washington Preparatory High School, more upscale than the chaos on his block. But even with all their efforts, pain still found its way to him. That's when Ice Cube faced his first real heartbreak. At just 12 years old, Ice Cube went through a heartbreaking tragedy. His half-sister's life was cut short in a violent incident. Around that same time, his older brother, already deep in the streets, had moved out and was mixed up with gang life. Ice Cube was curious about that world, no doubt, but his parents weren't having it. They made it their mission to keep him far from that path.
Eazy didn't know the business enough. This is how I felt, because I remember him coming into it. He came in, kind of wide-eyed. What do we do? I'm ready to do this, So I felt like he wasn't savvy enough to pull this without Jerry Heller's, coax.
Education came first in the Jackson household. And here's something that might shock even hardcore Ice Cube fans. Before the fame, before the movies, and even while rapping with N.W.A., he earned a diploma in architectural drafting. He graduated from the Phoenix Institute of Technology in 1988, right in the middle of building his rap career. That's wild. He once said he got the diploma as a fallback plan, just in case music didn't pan out. But clearly that plan B never had to get dusted off. Back in 1986, when Cube was just 16, he teamed up with his close friend Sir Jinx to form a rap duo called CIA. Not long after, KD joined and made it a trio. They hit up house parties, underground clubs, and LA nightlife scenes to get their name out. And that's exactly where Ice Cube crossed paths with the one and only Dr. Dre. Dre, who was with the world-class Wrecking Crew at the time, was calling himself Dr. Dre, Master of Mixology. Yeah, that was his full title back then.
That day I was probably, putting the hell nah. I had my mind made up, and nothing more powerful than a made-up mind, so.
Both groups were grinding hard in the same circuit, performing, collabing, and hustling to get noticed. The chemistry between Cube and Dre was instant. Cube wrote and rapped on Dre's track Cabbage Patch, while Dre helped Cube with the 12-inch record She's a Skag in 1986. Dre even produced CIA's first single, My Posse, Straight Heat. Their creative bond kept growing at a club called Eve After Dark, just 1 mile from Compton. That spot was raw, loud, and full of talent. And it's where Cube started getting called out. Whenever Dre jumped on the turntables, the crowd knew something fire was about to go down. The duo stood out big time, especially with Ice Cube hyping the place up using his sharp remixes and wild parodies. But not everyone was feeling the heat. One night, Cube flipped Run DMC's My Adidas into a parody, and it pushed the limits. The club owner actually had to step in and tell them to clean it up, keep it PG for the crowd.
But, he had left and basically he was like, yo, you can go out and be a flop like Arabian Prince. That was his exact quotes,
Really?
And I was like, damn, that ain't gonna happen.
At that time, Cube was still on the come-up, hustling to make a name. Meanwhile, Dre was already building his rep as a master behind the beats and the mic. Then came the turning point. Eazy-e noticed the talent. Eazy had been planning to launch his own label, Ruthless Records, but he didn't have the right connections. He was still getting his feet wet in the business, and OG record dealer Steve Yano wasn't ready to partner with him just yet. But Yano did introduce Eazy to Dre. And that's when things started moving fast. Through Dre, Ice Cube met Eazy-e, and reportedly, Eazy was blown away by Cube's raw voice and tight writing. Eazy snatched up Cube's first single and suggested they start cooking up something together. That something turned into the birth of N.W.A, made up of Eazy-e, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Arabian Prince, MC Ren, and DJ Yella. Dre and Yella already had a working rhythm from their time in the world-class Wrecking Crew. Now with Cube in the mix, they had a lyrical powerhouse. N.W.A dropped their debut album Straight Outta Compton, and it shook the industry. It wasn't just ahead of its time, it was revolutionary. And while the money eventually sparked drama, the early success, that was mostly thanks to Ice Cube.
Telling them the story. So I tell them, I was like, yeah, I told everybody I was coming out here to get my record produced in New York. And everybody in L.A. laughed at me, like, they ain't gonna do your.
Even though he was the youngest and the only member repping South L.A. instead of Compton, he was the group's secret weapon. Cube wasn't just rapping, he was writing every single track. Let's break it down. Ice Cube had almost nothing to do with N.W.A.'s very first single, Panic Zone. That track was mostly cooked up by Dr. Dre and DJ Yella, leaning heavy into that old school electro pop sound. It had a bounce, sure, but it wasn't the banger they needed. Sales were just okay, but nowhere near what happened later. With their game-changing album Straight Outta Compton in 1988, that album exploded. N.W.A is often credited with introducing the world to gangsta rap, though they preferred calling it reality rap. And let's be real, it was reality. 3 of the singles from that debut album blew up fast, each for a different reason. The title track hit hard with its raw take on West Coast life. Then Gangsta Gangsta painted a picture of just how rough it was for inner city youth dealing with racism and survival. But the track that caused the most noise? Without a doubt, Fuck the Police, cleaned up in text, but that's how the world knew it. Ice Cube later revealed he wrote most of the lyrics for that controversial track, with a little help from the DOC, a rapper closely tied to Dr. That song shook the system so hard even the FBI came knocking. They actually sent a warning letter to N.W.A, pressuring them to pull the track from their set lists. The threat? No police protection at their shows. But N.W.A didn't back down, not even a little. They refused to censor the track or cut it from performances. Ice Cube later said that the police were nervous, not about the music itself, but about the message. The lyrics exposed what was really happening between West Coast communities and law enforcement. The truth was loud, and people were listening. Because they stood their ground, the group ended up losing security for some of their tour stops, leading to a bunch of setbacks. Still, that FBI warning letter, it's now legendary. Literally framed and hanging in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's a very controversial record, and I believe it deserved a re-release.
And with Straight Outta Compton turning into a full-blown success, the group was ready to cash in and keep climbing. In 1989, Eazy-e, founder of N.W.A and Ruthless Records, decided to drop his first solo album. The only rapper featured, MC Ren. But Ice Cube had something to say about that. He later revealed that he was the one who actually wrote most of Eazy-e's lyrics for the album Eazy Does It, with a little help from the DOC. But behind the scenes, things were getting messy. Ice Cube said tensions were boiling over, not just with Eazy-e, but with the group's manager, Jerry Heller. According to Cube, he was responsible for writing the bulk of N.W.A's lyrics. But when the checks came around, he was getting shorted badly. Eazy-e, who kept reminding everyone that he started the group and owned Ruthless Records, allegedly made Ice Cube write nearly all of his solo album's lyrics. But when it came time to pay up, Jerry Heller offered Cube just $32,000 in royalties. That number wasn't just low, it was straight up disrespectful, especially for someone who had carried the pen behind most of N.W.A.'s iconic verses. What really set Cube off, though, was when Heller allegedly tried to erase him from the group's history. Ice Cube said that Heller straight up denied that he was even part of N.W.A. That was it, no more second chances. Cube walked out of Ruthless Records and didn't look back. But he didn't just walk. He lawyered up. Ice Cube took Jerry Heller to court, suing for what he felt was rightfully his. The lawsuit was eventually settled privately, but it lit the fuse for one of the biggest beefs in rap history. After walking away, Cube said he was still cool with most of the group, except Eazy-e. He even linked up with Dr. Dre after the fallout. The two talked about working on Ice Cube's new solo project and planned to keep collaborating. Cube said they stayed in touch for about a week. Then came the curveball. Dre called and told him that Heller had shut it all down. No more collabs. Cube was stunned. According to him, Heller only had the support of one other N.W.A. member. So how was he making all the calls? That move changed everything, and the real battle was just getting started.
Who was Ice Cube's producer? Depends, you're talking about the one and only Dr. Dre.
According to Ice Cube, his real issue with Eazy-e wasn't personal at first, it was about loyalty. Cube said Eazy chose to chase money with Jerry Heller instead of standing up for what was right. On top of that, Eazy made sure to cut Cube off from his usual collaborators and longtime homies. It wasn't just business, it felt like betrayal. But Ice Cube wasn't the first one to bounce from N.W.A. during their rise to the top. Before MC Ren even joined, there was Arabian Prince, an original member who dipped right before the group blew up. And guess what? He had the same complaints about Heller. But Arabian Prince said he saw it coming way before Cube did. With more experience in the game, he said he could tell Heller was going to play dirty once the fame and the money started rolling in. So what happened to Arabian Prince after he walked away? Eazy-e once told Ice Cube that his career would crash just like Arabian Prince's. And honestly, that's kind of what happened. After leaving N.W.A., Arabian Prince lost all rights to the group's music. No royalties, not even for tracks he co-wrote. On top of that, none of his solo projects from the 90s gained any traction. After flopping releases, he took a step back from the spotlight and disappeared from the rap scene for a while. Here's the wild part. Arabian Prince is the only founding N.W.A. member who wasn't inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And when the movie Straight Outta Compton came out, he wasn't even in it. So when Ice Cube decided to leave the group, he already knew what was at stake. He was the second person to walk away from one of the biggest rap collectives of all time, and there was a real chance his career could get iced out before it even hit its full potential. After all, N.W.A. basically had gangsta rap in a chokehold, thanks to Cube's own pen, ironically. With Dre and the rest of the crew blocked from working with him, things were looking real shaky for Ice Cube's solo future. But then, everything changed when Public Enemy's Chuck D stepped in. He told Cube, straight up, focus on yourself, build your thing. And that was the moment Ice Cube flipped the script. Chuck D didn't just give Ice Cube advice, he opened doors. He introduced Cube to some of the biggest names in New York's rap scene. That move changed everything. Ice Cube started hopping on tracks as a guest feature, laying down verses on other artists' albums. It wasn't just collabs, it was a message. Ice Cube was making it loud and clear that he had cut all ties with N.W.A. A lot of people think Cube got lucky linking up with Chuck D, but it almost didn't happen.
Yeah, that's what's cool. A lot of kids, just knew me for Are We There Yet? You know what I'm saying? They just thought I did movies.
Ice Cube actually flew to New York to meet with someone else entirely, Sam Sever. They had a meeting scheduled, but when Cube got there, he was told Sam wasn't coming. But fate had other plans. On his way out, Cube randomly crossed paths with Chuck D. Just like that, everything flipped. Chuck took him over to Public Enemy Records, and that same day, they agreed to help drop Cube's debut album. It was a game-changing moment. But let's be real, it wouldn't have happened if Ice Cube wasn't already a beast with the pen. In 1990, Ice Cube dropped his first solo album, AmeriKKK's Most Wanted. The buzz was insane. Everyone thought Cube was going to use the album to unleash a lyrical battle on N.W.A., especially Eazy-e and Jerry Heller. But Cube shocked everyone. He didn't throw any names in the fire. No sneak disses, no shots. Looking back, Ice Cube explained why. He said that at the time, he was still cool with most of the guys in N.W.A, and more importantly, he wanted his solo work to speak for itself. He wasn't trying to ride on beef, he was trying to build his own legacy. And guess what? It worked. Even without the drama fans were expecting, America's Most Wanted went gold in just 3 weeks, and platinum that same year. The album proved that Cube didn't need N.W.A to dominate, but that didn't stop N.W.A from coming for him anyway. On their second album, 100 Miles and Running, they fired back with a diss. They threw jabs in the lyrics, saying they started out with 5, but one left when things got too hot to handle. And in one of the music videos, they made sure to clown him too. In one of N.W.A's boldest disses, they dropped a music video showing the group locked up behind bars, except for one person. That person, a lookalike of Ice Cube. In the video, a cop shows up, unlocks the Cube double and lets him walk free, while the rest of the group stays locked up. It was a double jab, calling out Cube's loyalty and accusing him of not living by the message he pushed in his music. See, America's Most Wanted was packed with strong messages about black empowerment and the struggles of young black men in America. But N.W.A clearly wasn't having it. They were not about to let Ice Cube create a new image without clapping back, and that video hit a nerve. The diss sent Cube into full-blown battle mode. He fired off hard in interviews, throwing shade at every member of N.W.A. One of the wildest moments came when he appeared on the rap show Pump It Up, hosted by D. Barnes. There, Cube didn't hold back. He mocked the entire group, and even took shots at the DOC, who had suffered severe vocal damage after a near-fatal car accident. That hit too close for Dr. Director, he later said that Cube crossed the line by clowning the DOC's voice. But Dre didn't just get mad at Cube, he also turned his anger toward D. Barnes. He accused her show of twisting the feud for clout, and things got violent real quick. In 1991, Dre physically attacked Barnes in a now infamous incident. She sued him for millions, and the case was later settled privately. By that same year, N.W.A had started publicly calling Ice Cube Benedict Arnold, a full-blown traitor. They dragged his name in their lyrics, and Cube didn't hold back either. He hit back in tracks, saying N.W.A could never top the success they had when he was still in the crew. The beef hit its peak when N.W.A released Message to B.A., which included the track Real N.As Don't Die and 100 Miles and Running. In Turn Off the Radio, they even opened the track with a clip from Cube's own album, and MC Ren threatened him with straight-up violence. But Cube, he didn't flinch. Instead, he fired back with one of the most legendary diss tracks in rap history, No Vaseline. Raw, brutal, and straight-up unforgiving. Even though it dropped under Epic Records, the track was so explosive it ended up getting repped by Death Row too. No Vaseline didn't just blow up because of the savage bars. It also stirred up a whole other level of controversy. Part of the reason it became so notorious was because of Ice Cube's shots at N.W.A's manager, Jerry Heller, and multiple references to his Jewish background. Cube's lyrics painted Heller as the puppet master, with Eazy-e and the rest of N.W.A being nothing more than pawns in his cash game. But the backlash came fast. Some people accused Cube of using anti-Semitic language and said his words encouraged hate toward the Jewish community. Ice Cube later defended himself, saying his intention was never to target Jewish people. He said it was strictly aimed at Heller and his shady business practices while managing N.W.A. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, things were crumbling for the group. In 1991, right after N.W.A dropped their album Ends for Life, which many believe was mostly Dre's work, Dr. Dre shocked everyone by announcing he was leaving the group too. Word was, eazy-e had been secretly selling off N.W.A's rights to outside companies while making sure his cut stayed protected. Dre felt completely played. Add to that the fact Dre didn't feel fairly paid for all the heavy lifting he did on the last project. The tension exploded. MC Ren reportedly couldn't stand the way Eazy was acting either. He thought Eazy had let power go to his head, chasing solo control instead of showing loyalty to the people who helped build the empire. When Dre finally left Ruthless to link up with Suge Knight at Death Row, Eazy-e didn't take it lightly. He fired back hard, using homophobic slurs and throwing shade at Dre's old school style. Eazy even dug up photos from Dre's Eve After Dark days, when he used to wear sequins and glam-style outfits because of the electro-pop scene. He used the pics to embarrass him publicly. Dre didn't let it slide. He clapped back with Dre Day, a brutal collab with Snoop Dogg that tore into Eazy-E and aired it all out. Around the same time, Dre reached back out to Ice Cube. After all the beef, they decided to team up again, and it was like they never missed a beat. Cube popped up on Dre's track, Let Me Ride, in 1993. Then the two came full circle with Natural Born Killers, recorded for Snoop Dogg's 1994 Murder Was the Case soundtrack. The battle was brutal, but now, the real legends were linking back up. Ice Cube didn't stop at solo success. He leveled up and formed a straight-up power crew. Teaming up with West Coast heavyweights, Mac 10 and N.W.A, Ice Cube launched Westside Connection, a rap trio that oozed West Coast pride and street dominance. Their debut album, Bow Down, which dropped in 1996, was a certified banger. With tracks like the title song Bow Down and Gangsta's Make the World Go Round, the group made it crystal clear they were here to run the game. The album was loud, raw, and full of that gritty West Coast flavor. With its booming bass lines and ruthless lyrics, it became a street anthem and carved out Westside Connection's place in hip-hop history. The chemistry between the three was undeniable. Ice Cube brought the boss energy with his commanding flow, Mac 10 came in with pure aggression, and N.W.A laced every verse with slick, intricate bars. Together, they were unstoppable. Even though they only dropped 2 albums, Westside Connection made serious waves. They represented the unity, the style, and the raw power of 90s West Coast rap, and fans still remember that impact today. So, what's Ice Cube been on lately? Movies, music, everything. Ice Cube proved early on that he wasn't just a rapper, he was a full-blown entertainer. He jumped into acting like he was born for it, killing roles in iconic films like Boys in the Hood, 1991, Friday, 1995, and Barbershop, 2002. But here's the thing. Even with his acting career on fire, he never stopped making music. Through the 2000s and beyond, Cube kept experimenting with different sounds and worked with all kinds of artists. He kept dropping albums, staying relevant in both rap and Hollywood. Projects like Laugh Now, Cry Later, 2006, and Raw Footage, 2008, proved he still had fire in the booth. At the same time, he was producing and starring in hit films, locking in his spot as one of the most versatile icons in the game. From the mic to the movies, Ice Cube never missed a beat. Even after making waves as a solo artist, Ice Cube still found time to reconnect with his N.W.A roots. He linked back up with the crew for special projects, including a reunion tour in 2000 and their legendary induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2016. That moment sealed their legacy, and Ice Cube's name was etched in history right next to the very group he once walked away from. These days, Cube's not chasing the spotlight like he used to. He's taken more of a behind-the-scenes role, using his platform to uplift the next generation of West Coast rappers. In a sit-down interview with Genius, Cube gave props to up-and-coming names from the West, including Blueface, Reason, and Roddy Ricch. While breaking down some of their biggest tracks, Ice Cube kept it real. He said Reason stood out as someone who really had what it takes to carry the West Coast torch. As for the others, Cube didn't diss anybody. Even when talking about rappers he wasn't totally sold on, like Blueface, he still admitted that they had the potential to evolve and grow into greatness. He showed love without sugarcoating it. The crazy part? Ice Cube walked away from N.W.A at the peak of their fame, and yet here he is, still standing tall. He managed to build a solo empire that outshined some of the very people who stayed behind. That just proves how much he brought to the table from day one. The pen, the vision, the drive. Ice Cube had it all. And that wraps it up for today's video. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Let us know in the comments. What's your favorite Ice Cube track or movie moment? And make sure to click the videos popping up right now to dive into more wild rap stories. See you on the next one.